Kia ora, and welcome to Friday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from unrest.co.nz, and today we lead with news the gold price is tumbling, ending its recent spectacular rise. But first, American initial jobless claims rose to 223,600 last week, more than expected. There are now 1.9 million people on these benefits, 153,000 more than this time last year, a rise of 8.7%. But job cuts announced in April came in less than you might have thought at 105,000, certainly less than for March, but they are 62% higher than year-ago levels. And the widely watched ISM manufacturing PMI for April slipped into a deeper contraction than in March, although slightly less than expected. Output shrank more sharply and prices rose faster. Meanwhile, new orders declined at a slower pace, although new export orders fell steeply. This survey was quite a bit more negative than the S&P market version we noted yesterday. One sector that has lost much of its momentum is the US construction industry. It atrophied somewhat in March again. The expectation is that tomorrow's US non-farm payrolls report will deliver a rise of 130,000 jobs, about half of the levels they had at the back end of 2024. But there may be downside risks to this estimate. A very weak result will put the Fed in a real bind, having to choose between rescuing jobs in a faltering economy or pushing back on rising inflation. The last time they had serious stagflation was in the late 1970s. And then the Fed chose fighting inflation over preserving jobs and growth. It caused social unrest, but it did beat inflation and ended stagflation's curse until now. But 50 years later, few people understand that curse and its corrosive effects. Across the Pacific, the Bank of Japan held its key interest rate steady yesterday as the new American tariff policy casts a shadow over the Japanese economy. The central bank kept its policy rate at 0.5% during its first board meeting since Washington announced a wave of reciprocal tariffs in early April. The yen fell. The Bank of Japan also stood pat at its March meeting following a 25 basis point hike in January. And don't forget, China is on holiday until Tuesday, so data releases there will be sparse. It may be a good time for them to take a break. Outbound export shipments to the US are reportedly down 50%. Despite that, there are signs the US is desperate to get trade talks going, but Beijing is playing hard to engage. Australia reported a merchandise trade surplus of $10.8 billion in March. This was a good improvement from the relatively low $8.4 billion in March 2024, but it is similar to the average March in the prior 5 years. The Aussie federal election is in its final day now. Pundits seem to think the incumbent government will be returned, but with a reduced majority, maybe even requiring a coalition partner. We'll know soon enough. And global container freight rates fell 3% last week from the prior week to be 23% lower than year-ago levels. Bulk freight rates were little changed. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now at 4.23% and up 5 basis points from this time yesterday. And the price of gold, though, it will start today at $3,214 an ounce, down $95 from yesterday. Oil prices are holding lower at just on $58.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is now $61.50 a barrel. These remain 4-year lows, down to levels last seen in April 2021. And the Kiwi dollar is now at 59 US cents, down 40 basis points from yesterday at this time. Against the Aussie, we're down 20 basis points at 92.6 Australian cents. Against the euro, though, we're little changed at 52.3 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at just on 67.4 and down 10 basis points, saved by the yen. And the Bitcoin price starts today up 2.8% from yesterday at $96,810. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been modest, plus or minus 1.9%. This briefing is taking a few days off for a short break. We'll resume on Tuesday, May the 5th. You can find links to the articles mentioned today in our show notes, and you can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from unrest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again on Tuesday.